Alright, here is a 1991 Casablanca Marquis Comfort Touch. I can't show you the tag because it's underneath that switch cap. Anyway, this is what the Montclair used to be called before they changed it to Montclair in 1993 or 4. Rosewood blades, that's the first generation of the badge style arms. The other was with the California Zephyr, the one that kind of looks like a police badge, I guess. This is from 91, as you can see. There's the flywheel up there. Let's go ahead and get set up here. Put this down on the tripod, there we go. And I'll start off with the demo mode, or test mode, as it's called with Comfort Touch. This may or may not go in the museum. I want to find a light for it, and I also want the museum to have an example of Comfort Touch. But anyway, here is the remote. This luckily did come with its remote. And test. Starts off on speed 1, and now it's going to speed 3. All the beeping you're hearing is for the light, but obviously there is no light, so no difference. Now the light would be at full brightness. Now the light's cycling down. Now it jumped to speed 6. I might put a K4S on it just to have something on it for the museum. If this goes in it, we'll see. Raises the light back up to full brightness out of convenience. Go ahead and end test mode. We'll go ahead and start on speed 1. So this was introduced in, I want to say, 1990 or no, I think it was 91. It might have been the California Zephyr that was introduced in 89 or 90. So this is one of the first badge style fans that they did. The first was the California Zephyr, and the second was this. And I think the third was the Constellation. This went through, the Marquis went through a various amount of changes. First it was Comfort Touch, and it had these blade arms that you're looking at here. Then they changed the blade arms to, I think, the California Zephyr style. I have one of those in white and polished brass in IntelliTouch, and that's another thing they did. They axed Comfort Touch in this model and made it IntelliTouch exclusive in, I think, 92 or 93. And then in around 94 or 93, they changed the name to Montclair. In either 94 or 95, they changed the badges to the California Gold style, and then the fan was axed in, I think, 95 or 96, something like that. Overall, it had a pretty short lifespan. Go ahead and raise it to speed 2. Now, as with IntelliTouch, this has 6 speeds, and it does provide a boost when going up to a higher speed than you were previously, so that's a nice touch. Comfort Touch was introduced in, I want to say, 1990. I think the Stealth was the first fan that had it officially. I do love these rosewood blades. Unfortunately, these blades are a bit lighter than the typical rosewood. That's because they've been exposed to the sun for a long time. The blades on the other sides of these blades are darker because they were facing up, and you can tell that's the case because there's paint splatter on the top of the blades. It's not bad, but it's definitely noticeable. So that's why this side is facing down. Don't get me wrong, it's still a beautiful finish, but it's still brighter than the typical rosewood. This fan came to me off eBay a few months ago now. Don't remember how much it was. Maybe 400, 300, something like that. Definitely worth the purchase. These are not common at all. Speed 3. Excuse me. I don't remember when Comfort Touch was axed as a system. Possibly the late 90s, 97 or 98, something like that. I don't think it lasted until 2000. AdvanTouch was, I think AdvanTouch was early 2000s. Could be wrong about that though. The XLP was introduced in 97, so it might have been around that time. The cool thing about Comfort Touch is obviously the remote is handheld. It's not mounted to the wall. You could have an on-off switch if you wanted to kill the power. Say if the remote were to die, which could happen. Not the remote itself, but the receiver. The receiver can fail. Receiver meaning the board. It's similar to an IntelliTouch board. But thankfully, I don't think Comfort Touch has a reliability rate as low as IntelliTouch. IntelliTouch has a pretty low reliability rate prior to 1995-ish. Speed 4. As much as I don't like it, RMM4 was a great system. The lighting resistors were not great. Those tended to heat up a lot and smell bad and burn, but not like Slumber Quiet. Slumber Quiet would legitimately burn. But these would just get superheated, the lighting resistors. But before RMM4, 3, 2, and 1 all had really bad reliability, especially 1 and 2. Early RMM2 is horrible. There's a Cambridge right behind me, and it has early RMM2. The fan won't even stay running on high speed. It just shuts off after a few minutes. It's one of those weird boards that have flick mode. It's a very, very early RMM2 board, and it's very flaky. It does not stay running on high. And when you turn it on, the lights automatically come on, which is typical for a flick fan. So that's cool in its own right, but still, it is not a great board, unfortunately. RMM1 is definitely the worst. And it's very hard to replace them with authentic parts because the BFRs are different. The orange bands that are around the motors, very different than the ones in later models. They have actual wires instead of a ribbon cable. so it's very hard to find those. You see the boards more than you see the BFRs, and the BFRs tend to sometimes the low speed resistors can crap out, so when those crap out, you're shit out of luck. Speed 5. But anyway, enough about other fans. This fan, I mean, it survived a very terrible packing job, I'll say. I mean, there was a very tiny dent in the side pan, but I was able to pound that out. The fan is complete. It's minty, besides the very little remnants of the dent. Overall, it's a great running fan. Bearings are excellent. We'll go ahead and jump to high. Speed 6. This fan has been up for a number of months now. I think since I got it, I was like, well, the last thing that was up here I think was the Whisper Fan 2. And I took that down. I was like, oh my god, I gotta get this thing up. Because it's just so cool. These most commonly pop up in IntelliTouch and later versions. The remote is also very sun damaged. If you were paying attention, you would have seen that the remote is very yellowed. It's not white. As to be expected, it is an excellent performer. There you can see the rosewood up top, sort of. It's definitely, you can see the tone difference. That's darker, this is lighter, unfortunately. But anyway, that is my 1991 Casablanca Marquis. I say Montclair out of habit a lot now, since I've had two of those. I currently have one, I sold the other. Anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video.